So, for those of you who don't know me, before I was a Muslim, I was so obsessed with the dunya. All I wanted was to be a millionaire. All I wanted was to retire my parents, to make millions, to build businesses. It's just dunya, dunya, dunya. And then I reverted to Islam and I kind of swung to the polar opposite for a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Maybe money isn't everything. I met a lot of Muslims when I was living in the Middle East and, they didn't have any wealth. And I realized, you could be happy without money. But then I wanted to find the balance because there has to be a balance of the dunya and the akhirah, right? Which is a big part of my brand. I believe that we can have success now and we can also have success in the hereafter. So I started going this deep dive of what does the Quran say about wealth? Because before we get into any conversations about investing, we need to understand Islam's view on money and view on wealth. Because what I've noticed from a revert's perspective, many born Muslims have let culture infect them to think that money is bad, to think investing is bad, but that's simply not the case. So let's break it down. In the Quran, Allah encourages us to have legitimate business and trade, right? Allah has permitted trade and forbidden interest. Quran 2:275. Okay? O you who believe, do not consume each other's wealth unjustly, but trade by mutual consent. Quran 4:29. So it's very clearly telling us the difference of when you're doing unjust business with interest versus normal ethical business. And what I've really noticed is anytime I saw a Muslim who wanted to build a big business or wanted to be famous or anything, whatever it was, I would see Muslims constantly go, you're chasing the dunya. But that's not the case because Allah tells us that we can still have our share of this world and seek through what Allah has given you, the home of the hereafter, but do not forget your share of this world. Quran 28:77. This is an English translation. Just remember that, guys. I'm not a native Arabic speaker, so I've decided to keep everything in English. But right here, Allah is telling us that we can still have our share of the world. It's just very important that we do not put this above our deen, right? You should not be watching this course to skip praying Asr, right? You should always put your deen first, but just understand it's okay to want to be successful. And there's nothing in Islam that says it's wrong, okay? Let's look at Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as an example for business, okay? Because before his prophethood, he was a very successful businessman, right? He managed the trade caravans for his wife, Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her. He was known as the trustworthy in business dealings. And as in my dawah content, I use this as a way to prove the authenticity of Islam is because while he faked the Quran, he was known as the trustworthy, right? And we saw this in business. He was a very trustworthy merchant. And never in any of the teachings, any hadith, there's not a single reference of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, condemning legitimate business and wealth building. When it's legitimate and you're doing it in the way of Allah, there's zero references saying it's bad, okay? That's very important for us to understand. And he encouraged honest trade. And he encouraged people to become businessmen because they help the ummah, right? Think about how much you can help the ummah if you have a lot of wealth. And if we look at his wife, Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her, she was one of the wealthiest merchants in Mecca, and she used her wealth to help the Muslim community. We see this with the Sahaba. It's something that I constantly bring up. The Sahaba were very wealthy, and most people don't know this. And the Sahaba were the only people that are guaranteed Jannah. And many of the Sahaba, if their net worth, just put in a ChatGPT, Sahaba net worth calculated to today, they'd be billionaires, right? So if people who were billionaires back then, in if we were to equate terms, if they were guaranteed Jannah, then that means money is not wrong. It's how you use it, right? Now, when it comes to money, what does Islam actually prohibit, right? When it comes to investing or building your wealth, what are we not allowed to do? Because this is very important, right? It all sounds great and dandy, but now that doesn't mean we can go do a bunch of haram things to get wealth, right? The main one is riba, usury, interest, many different words for it. This means earning money from your money without any real economic growth or any value, right? So interest would be, I give you $1,000 as a loan, and you must give me $1,100 back, and I'm going to charge you more the longer it takes you to do it. I didn't provide any value to the economy, but I made money. So that's interest. And Allah wages war against interest. So it's very important that you do not get involved in interest and you stay away from it. Now, the second thing we have to avoid is excessive uncertainty. Okay, so this is business dealings or transactions with unclear terms or excessive speculation. So this can fall into crypto, right? Meme coins, or buying into a new company that's booming on the stock market, but no one's quite sure what they do. We're all kind of just betting that it keeps growing. There's a lot of uncertainty. That is also impermissible. Now, does this mean when there is uncertainty, you can't invest in anything? No, because there's always uncertainty. There's always speculation. It's when it's excessive. Okay. Number 3 is gambling. Gambling is a win-lose situation. So with investing, you can have win-wins. 2 people can make money. But with gambling, you lose money and I make money, or you make money and I lose money. So it doesn't have any economic growth and it does not help anybody. And it is also impermissible due to Islam. Now, another one, most people do know this, but I want to cover everything. And if you're thinking right now, Canyon, I know all of this. Come on, I want to know what to buy. Bear with me. I got to give you everything from beginning to end so you fully understand everything, because you need the strong foundations. Haram industries. Okay, this is businesses that have been deemed impermissible, like alcohol, gambling, anything that would involve explicit images, that sort of stuff. Any haram industry, we cannot invest our money into it or be involved in that to generate us wealth. And then obviously exploitation, right? So Hershey's, for example, is a chocolate company that many years ago was caught like using monkey labor to make their chocolate. So it would have been impermissible to invest into Hershey's under those terms, because you're investing into a company that's exploiting animals, and that would also be impermissible. Now you might be saying, okay, I get what's impermissible, but tell me what's permissible. Well, first, for us to know what's permissible, we have to know the foundations of what makes something impermissible. Okay. Well, congratulations. I want to let you know you finished the first video. So you are now already in the top 1% of people. Most people stop doing anything after the first chapter of a book, after the first video of a course. So congratulations to you. May Allah bless you. Let's jump to the next module.